Good morning. This is Dr. Brad here, Health Reclaimed, where we discuss all the root issues, all the lifestyle issues that build poor health and how to resolve those. Today we get to continue this dynamic talk with Megan Gaul, who lost nearly 100 pounds. She was basically twice what her weight should have been over the course of a year, and she's maintained that off for many years now. She's a weight loss coach with some really good, creative, interactive tools. Yeah, there's been a fun conversation. We kick around a lot of things about life here. So let's jump back into this. Here we go.
You turned around the experience from your childhood and you said, I'm gonna learn how I can do the opposite almost, how I can make this based on connection rather than how it was based on the feuding.
Yeah, and for people that don't know how to cook, that's one of those transitions things. Like I talk to people that it is a transition
Mm.
into better lifestyles. You
Yeah.
you 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 will not go from where you're at right now to where you should be in a matter of a couple of days. It's going to
Yeah.
take some time.
Absolutely. But it's a wonderful, as soon as I got started and started practicing, I was like, I see why people love this because it really reconnects you. It's an older practice that I think for some people growing up, they don't see modeled for them and they don't have an understanding of how wonderful it can be to craft your own meal from your own hands and your own ingredients rather than kind of the microwave to plate approach or the drive through to plate approach.
Yeah,
It's to me, it's very relaxing and it's very meditative. And unfortunately, a lot of people have this kind of high pace lifestyle that makes them see food as an annoying kind of extra task. And I wish we all could make more space to make it a really meditative part of the day. It really should. It deserves an honorable place in our day.
it's amazing how much time of the day healthy meal prep takes.
That's true. You were just mentioning making tortillas from scratch and bread from scratch. All of that takes time.
But experience, you invite people over for tacos. And
Hmm.
my wife and I did this for our wedding. We did a taco feed, and
Love
we
it.
we, we cooked up uh, a bunch of meat, a bunch of beans, and we talked about that. And most people are carnivores, and people hardly touch the beans. And I said, well, if I ever do this again, I'm going to mix the two together. So there's no choice. But
One step at a time.
made
Helping
three
everyone be healthy.
three different kinds of sauces. There was a tomatillo base, there's a pineapple salsa, and a mango salsa. Made
Ooh.
those. When we get to the feed, brought our griddle,
Mm.
a bunch of flour in a cooler, because with whole grain flour, it'll go rancid in 3 hours if you put it on the counter. So we store ours in the freezer. A bunch of flour and a tortilla press and taught people how to do it.
That's a party
And
right there. That's fun.
yeah, it's this relational interaction that's
Hmm.
very, very interesting when
Yeah.
you start. You look at a kitchen in a home,
Hmm.
it's generally the most interactive place the home
Yeah.
is
It's
and
warm,
should,
inviting.
and it's where you prepare all the things to make life rich.
Yeah. And that was another reason when I first started my business, one of my kind of community outreach programs was doing a cooking class for little ones. So for probably my youngest was 4 years old and the oldest was 10. Um, but like you said, it's so interactive and it's not at all hard to get a kid interested in cooking. If you just put the things in front of them, they don't need anything. They're already got their hands in there, putting things together, trying things out. And then they can get a very natural love of the process that I hope they keep forward until when they're adults, because once they go into the world where they feel like they have little control over their time of day, little control over their work, sometimes it takes away the joy from those little things in the day. So I hope they keep some of that as they get older.
Well, if you make it a enjoyable, interactive lifestyle, that's the case. And this is an example of that. My son and his wife, when their first child was a boy, and the second time I met him, he was toddler age. And they came up, I was ready to move out of the farm we were at, and he just came up to say hi, moved out of the state and all that. Decided to make pho for lunch, pull up a chair. He's his son just, got his arms up like this, wants to climb up my arms. So I just grabbed a chair, sit next to me like I did with his dad. He didn't know that. And him and mom, they have his wife doesn't know me, doesn't know this is basically the way I raised all of my son and his sisters. So I set him next to me, and we got some colored mini peppers. The big peppers are always toxic, but the mini peppers, you can find clean ones. And there's some peppers there, and he's got his thumbs, and he's breaking those in pieces. And mom and dad are somewhat embarrassed, going, you shouldn't do that. And no, we need these broken pieces anyway. So let him do that. It doesn't matter whether he breaks them in with his thumbs or if I cut him up. So we'll just let him do that. And get that, we make this, and it's, we're going to sit down, and I look at mom and go, do you want me to give him a ball for himself or just put some extra in yours? And she goes, oh, you just put some extra in mine. Well, he didn't want to sit with mom. He wanted to sit in my lap.
He got a taste of independence and creativity. Love it.
Yeah. And we didn't eat soup with regular spoons. We got Oriental spoons. So they're porcelain with a flat bottom on it, and the sides go up. And he's taking a spoon and he's smacking the soup, and it's spraying all over like that. That's what kids do that age.
Yeah.
And mom's all embarrassed. This is how they are.
No, that's fun.
This is how you interact with it. And they're looking at me like, you're not offended. This is how you get to know children.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and what a great, imagine if, when you had your kids, imagine if all parents had that many opportunities every day to do this truly connective, interactive activity. Because a lot of parents don't. A lot of parents feel like they're rushing from thing to thing, dropping their kids off, picking them up, and they don't get that beautiful connection that comes from having a shared goal and doing something together. And you had it every day. That sounds amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. And you just, you build those skills into it. Yeah. We had years down the road, we were doing youth retreats with college age kids when college got out in May. We're doing one and started them off Friday night and go all weekend long, and do baptism on the lake on one of those days. And this young girl, just cute as cute can be. She's 17. She's hanging out with these college people. She's still in high school. She comes up when I'm making breakfast. We're making gluten-free pancakes with rhubarb sauce. We had a bunch of rhubarb plants outside. And I ran out of batter and needed to go down, get some flour, and make some new flour to make more pancake batter. So I'm dipping in these buckets of different grains to do that. And, I need to go down there. And she goes, oh, can I help? I go, yeah, watch these. So I go down and get out a bunch of flour and get in the grain grinder, come in the kitchen. She's standing there watching the griddle. And nothing's flipped. I go, that's weird. That doesn't really make any sense. And I flip them, and I was thankful none of them burned, but it's like, that's odd. That's just odd. It makes more.
She needed something more literal.
and then, didn't say anything, just thinking, wow, that's odd. So lunchtime comes, going to cut up a watermelon. She asks, can I help? So I go, yeah, here, why don't you cut up the watermelon? And she's taking that watermelon. She's got one hand on the watermelon and the other hand with a broad knife. And she's going like this.
Uh-oh.
And I'm like, my eyes are huge. And I reach around, whoa, whoa, whoa. And I grab both her wrists. I just stop her, said, you're going to cut yourself really bad. And I asked, didn't anybody ever teach you anything in the kitchen? She goes, no, my parents won't allow me in there. And I look at her and go, are you kidding? Do your parents think that some guy's going to sweep you off your feet real soon? Run you up and get married to you? You're going to start a family with no homemaker skills? No idea how to even boil water in the kitchen? So
Yeah.
you need to talk to your parents. She went home, she talked to her parents about our conversation about that in the kitchen. Is about 10 days later, she sends me, I don't know if it was a text, email, or something. Guess what I did? She made shrimp scampi,
Woo. That's
a
amazing.
gourmet meal,
Oh.
her first meal in the kitchen. She's so proud of herself.
Oh. It's
And
not
I
too.
was right. It was within 2 years, Mr. Wright came along, swept her off for free. She was married and making a household.
And we're not saying it was because of her shrimp scampi, but it might have been a factor.
It's just one of those knowing things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she had one of those natures that she's a sweet girl. She's, as I said, just cuter than cute. And some guy's just he's gonna be attracted to that. I mean, you think about it. Women want guys who are sensitive. Men want a woman really is attracted to a man who's really a masculine man. And that's not this hyper macho issue of a caveman style. He's going to grab a woman by the hair and drag her around and do whatever he wants with her. But in this gentle, caring, nurturing side of things, no man wants a woman who's real feminine, and that's what she was. You know, it's just a matter of time. And somebody like that, she's not going to be single for long. It's just not.
And I think,
So,
you know, and I think you're right about the cooking skills being necessary for all of us growing up, men and women alike. You know, you can't just teach it to half your kids. Everyone's got to know. Everyone's got to pull their weight.
mhm,
I think that's
yeah,
wonderful. It's true.
yeah. So,
And a lot of folks who I think connect with me, especially clients, they've struggled because they haven't become confident in the kitchen. And so they've been an adult getting around that, using a lot of the foods that are kind of half made, pre-made, or using restaurants as their main source of meals, which some people do, and feeling a lack of confidence in how to get out of it, having almost this sense of well, I've gotten this far and I still haven't learned, maybe I'm hopeless. And I think what I want to share is that it is the, you are absolutely capable of building your skills here. And it's more fun than you think. And it's easier than you think. And you have to get ready to make some mistakes in the kitchen. You have to be okay with accidentally burning something or over salting something. You got to be okay with that. Just like anything else, if you practice this for one meal a day, one time a day, you're going to get better. And then it's going to be so much more of a pleasant time trying to make all those healthier swaps we were talking about. You're going to have more control over what goes on your plate and in your mouth, and it's going to feel so much nicer.
yeah, yeah. I remember when we were working with a couple that lived a long ways away. She grew up in a household. Her mom just threw the oldest girl in the kitchen. She was the oldest of 7 kids. Uh, Burnt all kinds of stuff. No hood vent to even blow the smoke out. And she gets married and really has no domestic skills. Then she got so sick that she couldn't even get out of bed to take care of anything. We invited them out for Thanksgiving. Had a cottage on on her property, and they stayed in a place that was super cute. I had her cook every meal that we had over the Thanksgiving weekend.
Wow.
I guided her, directed her, and helped her, but she cooked all but one meal, and she didn't feel real good on that. She was eating like a bird, hardly doing anything. The first meal, she sits down, and I'm looking at her husband. I go, "Do you see what's going on here?" She got up and she gave herself seconds and then
Mm.
third helping.
You know, I think your story really reminds me about how when you cook your food, you appreciate it so much more than if you are brought something by some unknown person or if you buy it out of a package. When you put effort into making that delightful, then you are going to treat your food differently. And like you said, like this woman was able to enjoy more of it, right?
It totally transformed her.
Yeah.
I challenged them, and I think that's a good challenge. If
Yeah.
it's a
In my
couple,
case,
do
I
do
was using food as a comfort, so I was overeating. And so when I began to eat my own food, I began to appreciate every bite more and really stop and savor each bite. And I was able to relearn how to tell when I was full. And that was a skill that I think many of us are missing, myself included. And cooking my own food helped me relearn that.
yeah, I encourage this couple. I encourage a lot of couples to do this. Take a date night a week. Like maybe once a month. You just start off with from work up to once a week, and you try a new recipe together in the
Mhm.
kitchen.
That's wonderful. Yeah, my husband and I cook together all the time. We every Sunday we cook together. It's really fun.
And so, does one usually prep and the other one cook, or you doing
We
totally different?
actually will both cook something. So we'll both cook separate things at the same time and we just coordinate. We're like, you're using the stove, I'll use the oven. But we're in the kitchen. We're together, we're both chopping at the same time, we're both stirring at the same time. But it's really nice because we know throughout the week we've got all this stuff that's really healthy that's just ready for us at any moment. And it's like a little love note to us later in the week. We appreciate
Yeah.
you.
So, has your spice cabinet expanded
It's
dramatically
big.
since you?
Yeah. We keep buying more spices and we don't have the room for them. So we've got a little spot next to the stove for the most common ones, a little rack next to the fridge, and we've got the backups, in the cabinet behind the fridge. So it's expanding constantly.
Yeah. Yeah.
We actually, for our wedding last year, our favors were these small bottles of spices that I had my brother. I asked him to design, a special spice seasoning mix for our wedding, and so he put together all these wonderful little glass bottles with his own homemade seasoning mix. It was great.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
My wife, she made all these recipes for all of these ethnic spices.
That's awesome.
And what we tell people to do, the cheapest way to get spice is to buy them in 1 pound bags.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
It's super cheap to do that.
and
Get
if
a
you cook often,
dedicated,
you can go through it.
get a dedicated coffee grinder that's all stainless on the inside. That's
Yes,
for your spices.
that's
And you
wonderful.
grind those things up and put them in spice jars every once in a while, 'cause you don't want those things to oxidize. You want
No.
the flavors to be really fresh.
I always remember going through, grandparents' cabinets after they passed away and finding the, the jar of pepper, McCormick pepper from 1949, whatever it was. Like, how old is this
Yeah,
spice? So I like your
yeah,
method of keeping it as whole as you can and grinding it as needed. That's great.
yeah. Most people don't realize you buy spices in the grocery store. Those things are generally 2 to 3 years old,
Mm,
and
I'm
they
not
have not
surprised by that. Yeah.
they
But
haven't
a
been
cinnamon stick is going to
kept.
taste better than your ground cinnamon from 3 years ago.
Yeah, if you take a seed like fennel, cardamom. Cardamon's one of the wildest ones. You take that and, it's got a pretty attractive aroma. If you pulverize that into a small powder in small amounts and put them in jars, you'll open that jar, it'll fill your whole kitchen in seconds with the flavor of cardamom,
It's amazing.
which, which, you think about that, people are into perfumes and things along the line. Take a small pinch of just completely powdered cardamom and rub that
That's a
on your
great
skin.
signature scent. I would love to smell like cardamom all the time.
Yeah. There's a bunch of spices that are so attractive, so alluring.
Well, like you were
You,
saying,
you,
fennel is a wonderful one. Fennel is so warm and inviting. It's wonderful.
so is rosemary. It's
Mhm.
more pungent, but it's extremely dry and interactive. There's so many things you can do with this stuff.
Mhm.
When you expand your idea
Mhm.
of what you really want to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, how long did it take you to get down to a closer
Healthy
to an
weight
ideal
range.
weight?
It took me about 11 to 13 months to to lose about 100 pounds. And so that process, I think by some standards is fairly quick. A lot of it was 2 pounds a week. And I think I was so excited that I wasn't overeating compulsively anymore that I just had a lot of confidence in the in keeping all my changes going. So always prepping my lunches, and if we were going out to a restaurant, pre-planning what I would order, to make sure it was healthy and would help me lose weight and keep me full. And so the work really began after reaching a healthy weight and then asking, well, now what? How do I keep this down? So since then, I've just been really connecting with other people who have had large weight losses and really learning from them about what are the things that they keep steady. And there's an interesting study. I don't know if it's active anymore, but they were collecting and keeping in touch with and doing surveys with people who had lost a large amount of weight and kept it off for years. And most of the common factors are they have some kind of monitoring, but gentle monitoring of their food intake. So maybe they're journaling their food, or maybe they're having very similar meals all the time. So that's one. And two is they move in some way regularly. It doesn't really matter specifically how, but they move in some way regularly. And then the final one, I think, was they keep in touch somehow with their healthy weight. So maybe some people use the body weight scale. Some people have a favorite outfit that they kind of check and make sure that they're still in a range that's healthy. And if they're not, they just kind of pull back on a few things and keep making their swaps and return to their healthy weight. So those are the big things that a lot of maintainers keep steady in their lives. And that's what I've been doing since then, just kind of learning what am I willing to do long term? How can I monitor my food journal in a really gentle way where it's not like I'm giving myself rules, but I'm just keeping aware and mindful of how I'm eating? And how can I move regularly and keep that as a solid part of my life, especially as someone who didn't really start exercising until they were 29.
Yeah, it's always interesting to me the different ways that people go about stuff.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest issues to help maintain weight is a change in view of foods, where all of the healthiest societies in the world and the longest lifestyle, blue zones,
Hmm.
basically 50% of every plate's vegetables.
Yeah, I believe that fully. There's more and more research about having a variety, not just lots of vegetables, but a broad variety of vegetables or
Yeah.
plants. So, and that's something that if that was not your default. So if you have a significant period in your adulthood where your default was having most of your plate be protein or fats or, eating animal-based things, and you're not used to always having vegetables ready, filling every plate that way, then it does take some mindfulness to keep that habit going and make it sustainable. Because once you hit a stressful season, like let's say you've lost all the weight and then you have to move, it's a stressful situation, or maybe a partner dies, or you have to leave your job, there's a financial stressor. Those are usually the times where people revert to their old ways because there's a threat, right? So they kind of go back.
Interesting.
Yeah, they go back to their safe, their old safe self. And so maybe they'll start compulsive eating again, or maybe they'll go back to not having their vegetables ready for themselves. So the challenge that I've been focusing on is when those stressful seasons happen, keeping those baseline new habits going. So keeping the vegetables present, even if the excuse is, oh my gosh, this week has been crazy at work. I don't have time to prep my vegetables.
Yeah.
So even if you can just prep a little bit, a little less than you normally do, but keep the spirit of the habit going, that can help you maintain any weight that you've lost and prevent you from regaining.
Yeah, that's good. We're going to need to wind this down. Any closing hurdles you want to share?
Oh, sure. So if anything that we talked about kind of resonates with you and you're thinking, "Oh, I definitely feel not confident in the kitchen. I want to become healthier and I know that cooking for myself is a big barrier." If that is you, I have something called the coaching diagnostic call that is a free offer to anyone, and it really gets you 45 minutes of my time so that we can untangle this for you and get you an action plan. So if that's something that you're interested in, you can come, my links will be in the show notes, I assume, but come follow me on Instagram, partake_foodie, and stay in touch because I love to talk about this and I love to help people get to their next level.
That's perfect. I'll throw that link in the show notes so
Oh,
that
thank you. And thank you for
if
having me. This has been such a great conversation to round out my day. It's been lovely.
yeah, yeah, I I really have the attitude where the best conversations are like you're just pulling up to share a warm cup of tea and just connect
Mm-hmm.
and see where the conversation goes. People are not used to that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that should be attractive to the right kind of people. It's like, wow, this is really a different interaction.
Mm. Well, thanks. This is a really warm cup of tea.
Yeah, yeah, they should be. That's main reason why tea and coffee cups are generally some type of a um, pottery
Mm-hmm.
because they hold their heat for a while.
Oh, it's lovely. It's my favorite time of day is when I wrap my hands around some kind of pottery of a hot drink.
Yeah, and you need that up there with the new snow you got on the ground.
Yes, we
So,
do. Thank you.
yeah. So thanks for coming. Sign this off now. And well, thank you for coming and enjoying this with us, for listening and plugging in with this dynamic talk with Megan Gaul. She's got some really, really good tips. She's got some really good tools. She'd be a really good person to work with if weight loss and keeping that off is one of your primary goals. So we'll leave her contact in the show notes down below. Put a like on this, share this with some friends, put a review on so more people can find this channel and tune in with some of these really, really good health pearls. So if you look at what she's talking about, primary issues with weight loss is changing the attitude of food so that it's not a comfort, a crutch, but is more utility, and to start to change habits so they're more sustainable in small little steps, and could be a really good one to have for those who don't have any skills. We've done that with a lot of people too, and it's a huge issue to walk with people to help them build the skills they need to sustain the life they've always wanted and loved. So thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.